My name's Mark, and you're listening to Headstraight. Hello you lot, and welcome back to the first episode of Season 4. And today we're going to be looking at why people react when you started changing. Now, just to say, when we are doing something different, we don't always do it with an announcement. We don't sit people down. We don't explain what we're working on. And sometimes we don't always realise that we're changing yet. But there are times when you just start to do things differently. And then you notice it. Maybe you notice a look that lingers for a little bit too long. Or there's a comment that sounds harmless but just feels slightly off. Or there's a joke that used to land okay but now doesn't anymore. Now, nothing big has happened. There's been no argument or no falling out, but you can just feel it. This episode is about that moment when change stops being something private and starts showing up in the spaces between you and others. And the thing is, it's often other people who notice this first. They pick up on tiny differences. Maybe you pause instead of reacting straight away. Or you don't just agree to keep things smooth. Or maybe you don't play along in the same way. And it might be that they sometimes ask, "Are you okay? You seem different lately." Now, maybe sometimes they joke, sometimes they go quiet, or sometimes nothing is said. But something still feels different. Now, that can leave you feeling exposed, as if you've been spotted before you've worked out what you were even doing differently. Now, you didn't mean to change the dynamic. You didn't plan to draw attention. But now, you're aware of it. So let's take a look at why that awareness can feel so uncomfortable. Even relaxed, everyday relationships run on patterns. People get used to how you respond, what role you play, where they can place you. So when something shifts, even slightly, it creates a pause. Not always judgment, often not criticism, just a moment where the old pattern doesn't quite fit anymore. That pause can feel tense, especially when you didn't choose to break the pattern, you just grew out of it. Now, when you notice this tension, there's often a pull to sort it out quickly. You might find yourself wanting to explain yourself or make things light again or act how you used to. Or you might even want to show everyone that you're still the same. Not because you want to, but because discomfort feels risky. And in that moment, it's really easy to start doubting yourself. Am I being difficult? Am I making things awkward for no reason? Should I have just left things the way they were? That pressure can turn inward really fast. And then change starts to feel like distance. For some people, it's not comments or questions that hurt the most. It's that space that shows up. Chats feel shorter. Energy feels different. That can feel like losing something. And that can be really confusing, especially when the change you made was about protecting your well-being or being more honest with yourself. Now, no one really warns you that change can create distance before it creates something new. Sometimes things need room to find their shape again. Now, when this is happening, you might start to wonder whether this means that you did something wrong. It doesn't. That awkwardness, that distance, that slightly uncomfortable feeling, it doesn't automatically mean that you've messed up. It often means that people are adjusting and roles are shifting and maybe old expectations of you are loosening. And that's going to take time. It's uncomfortable, but it's not a mistake. So let me just make one thing really clear. This episode isn't here to tell you to explain yourself or to push through without caring. It's here to do something quieter. It's here to help you recognise that the tension that you're feeling is often part of the change, not a sign that you need to stop. You're allowed to notice it without immediately fixing it. And the best way to do this is just to sit with the uncertainty. If this is something that you're living right now, You don't need an answer for this just yet. You don't need to decide whether the change was right or wrong. You don't need to work out what this means for every relationship. For now, noticing and staying present is enough. So before we finish, I just want to say one thing. You just need to let the question breathe. If people are reacting differently to you or things feel slightly off, try not to rush to smooth it over. Just because things feel unfamiliar, it doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. Change doesn't just happen inside you, it ripples outwards. And learning to stay steady whilst those ripples settle, it's all part of the process. Now let's take a look at what we're doing in the next episode. This is where we move from your inner world to the chaos around you. Because it's one thing to stay steady when you wobble. It's another thing entirely when everyone else in your life is wobbling louder than you are. In the next episode, we're going to talk about how to stay calm when the people around you are losing their heads. We're going to look at how to protect your growth when you're surrounded by stress, noise, and reactions that aren't yours to carry. Now you've learned how to hold your ground inside yourself. Let's learn how to hold it when the world gets loud. So, are you up for it? Of course you are.